Welcome back to Locked On NHL's coverage of the 2022 NHL Draft. I'm Gil Martin of Locked On NHL. With me, Brandon Pillar of Locked On Senators, our prospects expert. And welcome back to Joe DiBiase of Locked On Sabres. Noah Östlund, the next pick by Buffalo in the first round. Joe, a little bit of a reach to some people, but what are your thoughts about this pick?
I like it. Some of the analytical guys seem to like the pick. I think Danila Yurov seemed to be a fan favorite for the Sabres as one they wanted to see them pick, and he's been linked to them. But, as the draft is going here, maybe he'll find his way to Buffalo. But I like the Östlund pick. I think that the skill set really works for what the Sabres are trying to do with skill, and they're trying to add to the pipeline down the middle. We'll see if he actually stays at center. We actually just heard from him on a radio station here in Buffalo, and he said that next year he plans to play on the wing before they really makes a decision on what he wants to do in the future, because he's mostly played center up until this point. So we'll see what position he ends up playing, but, deceptive, good hands, high hockey IQ. The speed is not like on an elite level, but I also don't think it might be like a big problem either, is my read on the prospect. So I would say I like the pick. I might not want to graduate it to I love the pick, but I'm good with it.
Brandon, what does his skill set add to the Sabres pipeline?
I think what he does really well is he plays a good transitional game, and the high hockey IQ that he finds creative ways to get open, and he switches things up to always keep his opponents guessing. And what I like from him, and why I think maybe actually, Joe, he might work out better as a centerman, is he's able to manage his line mates really well and get them in spots where they can play with some space. And he played on a line with Jonathan Lekkerimäki and Liam Ogren, and he was the true playmaker on that line. I mean, look, if you look at his stat line in the J20 league, he had 33 assists in 32 games, and I think he's going to be someone that he needs to play with a skilled finisher on his line, because he's not going to be the guy that puts the puck in the back of the net. He'll get you to the O-zone and set those guys up, and then they can finish the rest. And if I'm looking at the Buffalo Sabres, how about getting him on a line with Jack Quinn in the future? Yes. How about getting him on a line with Jeff Skinner? Like, all these guys that their big thing is their shot, put Östlund with them, and he can just set those guys up all day long. So from a draft ranking approach, I don't love this, as I had Östlund going in the early second round. But from the Buffalo Sabres side of this, it makes a lot of sense for what they're looking for in their prospect pipeline.
Brandon, you talk about his hockey sense, both of you did. How tough will it be to adjust that hockey sense to the narrower North American rink?
I think it's going to be very interesting to see what Buffalo decides to do with them. Like I mentioned earlier, with the guys in Djurgården, that team has been relegated from the SHL to the Allsvenskan League, so he's going to have a lesser competition level to work with, and I think he can really hone his skills there. But you might want to get him over to North America a little bit sooner, just because as someone that excels in the transition game, that's easier to do when you have more ice space over in Europe rather than North America. So I think the Sabres, they've got a great program in Rochester that's had success in the AHL. I don't think it would be too crazy to let Östlund maybe have one more year in Sweden, then bring him over to get him acclimated to the North American game in the AHL.
And Joe, a guy with this kind of vision, can you see him really being a big asset on the power play?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Brandon took the words right out of my mouth. When they picked him, and when I really was learning more about like his style as a player, the guy that was ringing through my head was, oh, he's going to play with Jack Quinn.
Yeah,
he's going to play with Jack Quinn. Jack Quinn, the hired gun that's just going to rip one-timers. And I think that'll work on the power play too. I think, they love Victor Olofsson on that one side, on his offside, on the one-timer. Olofsson's a player where like it's really all he's got to his game right now, but he's got a great shot. He's got a great release. And if you can get a player like Östlund in there to kind of do a lot of the other things, create the play, be the zone entry men, set things up, whether that be in the power play or 5-on-5, and you stick him with an Olofsson who's more of a one-dimensional offensive player, just shooting, or even Quinn, who his shot is his best part of his game. He's a more well-rounded player than an Olofsson is. But fit him with a guy like that, either one of them or even both, honestly, by the time he shows up. And I think there's a lot of options for Don Granato to really have some really good shooters on both sides or either side of him. He did make a comment in the last couple of minutes that his plan, and we'll see if this is the team's plan, but his plan is to play the next 2 years in Sweden. Sabre fans will probably love the comment of, and then I'll be ready for 82 games and the playoffs. Holy cow, we're ready for that. We'll see, though, if it actually becomes 2 years, because that's how Isaac Rosén sounded last year, who the Sabres picked 14th overall in the 2021 Sweden. It's kind of the same thing. It's like, I'll probably be a couple more years in Sweden. He played 1 year in Sweden, signed his entry-level deal, and it sounds like he's playing this year. So while he's saying it's going to be 2 years in Sweden, I think I like Brandon's idea. And if I were the organization, I'd be pushing for him to get to Rochester sooner rather than later.
All right, for more, listen to and watch Joe DiBiase on Locked On Sabres. Joe, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.